This week we're in Crowley, Louisiana, where the most awaited season of the year is in full swing. And we'll bring it to you straight out the bayou. 'Tis the to pinch some tails and suck some heads. Crawfish season in the South is at a rolling boil. So how do these tasty crustaceans make it out the bayou and onto your backyard tables? We'll put you right into a local crawfish pond and show you how it's done. Okay, now that we've got them, we will also show you how to cook them. Two of our local cooks join us, and we'll give you their secrets to the boil and a great tail meat surprise. And it's all straight out the bayou, stories with great taste. Dating back from the early Native Americans and European settlers, the crawfish has always been a part of Louisiana culture. And now, from swamps and rivers and ponds like these, the crawfish is still the #1 table fare in Louisiana.
You can talk to 20 different farmers and get 20 different opinions on how to do it right, and there's so many variables that are involved, Mother Nature, that it presents, that sometimes just luck. Luck is a big part of it.
It's still officially winter. It's cold, windy, and these ponds are where you might find a group of duck hunters waiting out that early morning flight. But for Stephen Brule, these Crowley ponds hold something a lot more valuable than waterfowl.
Grew up on a family farm out here and went to work for someone else for a while, and then came back to the farm and started crawfishing.
In the 1960s, crawfish farming made its debut with the cultivation of crawfish in man-made ponds, using controlled water levels, forage management, and water recalculation techniques to produce a highly marketable product.
Some years are better than others. My first year I did very well. Out of about just the 68 acres that I fished over there, probably took off about 45,000 pounds, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 700-800 pounds to the acre.
More than 1,600 farmers produce crawfish in some 111,000 acres of ponds. More than 800 commercial fishermen harvest crawfish from natural wetlands, primarily the Atchafalaya Basin. The combined annual yield ranges from 75 to 105 million pounds.
I've always understood that it takes about 60 days before a baby crawfish reaches maturity where it can be, where it's ready to be eaten. I'm sure that varies depending on food, depending on a lot of things, but that's what I've always been told. So, we put the water on the ponds in September, late September. Look to start trying to catch them in November, December.
The total economic impact on the Louisiana economy exceeds $120 million annually.
If the water table gets very low, some of the crawfish die. Some of the ones that go down to reproduce, they die before they can come back up, and that, you may lose a whole crop, a first or second crop. Probably the biggest part is the drought.
More than 7,000 people depend directly or indirectly on the crawfish industry.
Guy that's really light like this probably just came out of a molt, real paper thin. And the molts, when they shed their shell, this guy's later in his life. Later in his life, obviously he's bigger, but he's not quite as clear. They go through cycles where they grow and they shed their shell, and they're very vulnerable, and they lay on the ground and get eaten by birds and whatever. And the ones that come out a little bit bigger. It's just a cycle that they constantly growing. As you put each sack on, I get a tear weight on the individual sack, and then when we finish with the former, I can hit a gross weight, and it gives me the whole gross of everything that he brought in.
Well, I feel like I just unloaded a ton of crawfish. Well, how many pounds is this actually?
630.
630. So 630 minus 39. Can you put that on the calculator for me? Thank you, man. We'll see you.
All right, so now we've got our crawfish out of the ponds of Crowley, so now we've got to cook our crawfish. So when we come back, we'll be at Sammy's Grill in Baton Rouge. Maybe Jason Jackson will show us a few secrets on how to cook up some great mud bugs.
Hey, you gonna pay for those?
Well, if you've ever been in the vicinity of Highland and Perkins on a Friday afternoon, you'll notice a small traffic jam forming. The reason for all this chaos? Right here in the bag.
Because a lot of people want to know the recipe and stuff. Our recipe is real simple, but the process that we do with the crawfish is not real simple. It's a labor-intensive process. We go through every single crawfish. We have a cleaning machine that's basically a big vat of water that they go into. They go up a rotary belt. They get sprayed off then. We pick out every dead crawfish, every piece of trash, and then we run them into a tub of fresh water. Even in your backyard, you can go to your local hardware store, pick up one of these tubs. This is a cement mixing tub. Pretty much all your local hardware stores will have it. And then we drill some holes in the sides of it to where this water is going to flush out and clean these crawfish thoroughly. We put a lot of pride in making sure that we pick out every dead crawfish and only cook the live crawfish. We want to make sure that we rinse them really thoroughly until this water is crystal clear. There's a lot of different ways to do this. This is our recipe. When you're doing it at home, it can vary with the products that you want to put in here. We've got pretty much our basics of lemon juice, salt, cayenne pepper. We've got a couple of different products that you can find at most grocery stores is onion juice and garlic juice, and pretty much any type of vegetables that you want. We've got onions, lemons, and garlic going in here. We have new potatoes, which everybody cooks with crawfish, but we like to cook these separately, either on a pot inside your house or a separate pot, strictly because of, one, they're usually kind of dirty and a little gritty, and two, they take a lot longer to cook than the actual crawfish do. We're gonna start off with our pot, filling it up roughly with half the amount of water of the size of the pot. One thing you don't want to do is put too much water in there, and that's going to dilute your season. Also, it's going to take longer for it to come to a boil. So we'll start off with about half the pot full with water. We're going to add lemon juice. We like to put about a half a gallon in before we cook the crawfish and about a half a gallon after. And this is based on about 70 pounds worth of crawfish. We use a Louisiana shrimp and crawfish boil for our seasoning. We use about 10 cups of the crab boil, crawfish boil, and then we use about 3 or 4 cups of salt as well. This product has salt in it, but we like to add it with this amount of crawfish. And then we're going to pour in our onion and garlic juice. This is only a 2-ounce bottle. It looks a lot bigger than that, but it's basically just concentrated juice that we're adding to the pot. We squeeze a little extra lemon in there as well. We like to cook with fresh lemons. And what we're going to do when we add all our vegetables, I like to take an empty crawfish sack and put all of our vegetables into one sack. That way when you go to boil it, sometimes they take a little bit longer than the crawfish to cook. You can cook them a little longer without having to fish them out of here and stuff. And some of your garlic and onions might still have peelings on it. And all that, you don't really want all of that to get into your water. But what we'll do is take everything and put it all in a crawfish sack, and that way you can pull it out anytime you want. Also just put it out on the table how you want it too. You can keep the string on it to tie it, or you can just kind of wrap it and tie it like this. That way you have all your stuff. If you did want to do your potatoes in here, that's where you'd want to do it as well. Just tie it up, set it in your pot for a little while, let it boil like that, to where you can remove it, set the crawfish in, and then set this back on top of the crawfish.